Hey guys, Matt again at UFOs Above Us. Today we're going to look at some structures on the moon. So we'll start off with a still frame of what we're going to look at. You can see a cluster of a lot of stuff there. I'm going to show you some video that I took of that area of the moon to get things started. So here's the video. We'll look at it first. And you notice on this video you've got that round circular smooth area. I think that's the Sea of Crisis there on the margin. To the, I call it the north. To the left of that, towards the top of the moon. That little cluster of structure is what we're going to focus on today. So we kind of look at that and see what we see. And I see a couple of round structures. I see some angled pipes that kind of remind me of the rail guns we talked about earlier. A lot of poles, maybe some other, something looks like an X there. So we're going to look at all those and figure out what they are, or guess what they are, I guess I should say. So, okay. So now we'll do a close-up video just to see the area we're focusing on there. And yeah, I do see those two round circular objects. They kind of remind me of cylinders, but they've got these gaping holes facing the center of the moon. So I'm not sure what they are. I see what looks like a rail gun there pointing out towards the space with a tripod, and I see some other structures. So let's look at a still here. And I rotated this to make it a little easier to see. Let's start off with that white object with all the debris around it that's at the bottom left of the screen. I think that's an old railgun. Probably got hit in a meteor strike or something, or I guess theoretically a war on the moon at some ancient past. But that debris, and you can even see one of the legs for the support of it still mostly intact. I think that's a damaged railgun. Now from that, let's look at about 2 o'clock over there, and you'll see another tripod, but this time with a big gray cylinder pointing out towards the edge of the moon. And I'm guessing that's probably a current railgun. Now, and I want to say about these railguns wouldn't be used for something like Earth. I mean, their function, I think, would be to protect against asteroids or meteors. You know, to shoot at those and break them up with some kind of a energy or particle weapon. Now, so that big gray thing that it's kind of pointing at about 1 o'clock, I think, is a railgun. And then to the right of that, you see an X pattern. That looks like a pipe to me, even with tubes that go down into the ground. And so just guessing, but maybe that's part of the energy supply to that weapon. And then at the back of the weapon, you can see 2 pipes coming out of the back of it. Maybe that's feeding the electricity or whatever powers the plasma or particle weapon there. So I think all that apparatus is part of the energy source for that big rail cannon that they have mounted there on that tripod. Okay, so a couple of other objects that we'll look at. You see the 2 round structures there? I want to spend a little time talking about those because honestly, I don't know what they are. But they certainly look odd to me, especially when you see the big openings facing kind of towards the center of the moon. And so all I'll tell you is what they remind me of. When I looked at that one, especially the one on the right, if you've ever ridden a carnival ride, you know how they have the spook house rides and then there's the big mouth sticking out and you ride the cart into the mouth. That big gaping opening there with the round cylinder type structure kind of reminds me of a carnival ride, and maybe that big opening's a mouth. So I know that's an oddball theory, but here's my support for it. If you look at the big rectangular black patch there, that looks very out of place. Look how dark black it is. Look at the square, squareness of it, the right angles of it. And then there's even a band that looks like it's going around that structure. My theory is that's there to conceal a face that's on that structure. Maybe that's one of those mega sculptures. We've seen one before. Maybe these are other mega sculptures. Over to the left of it, I think it's the same thing. You've got that black patch, which is probably there to conceal, might be there to conceal the face. And it also has that opening like a mouth. And so maybe those are mega structures to honor some distant person or animal that whatever was there wanted us to remember. Now I kind of overexpose this to show you more detail in the picture, and you can see those black patches on those big structures that I'm guessing are mega sculptures clearly in that. But let's look at the other things in the foreground. Look at all these white things. It's kind of a pole sticking up with little arms sticking out from them, and they're all over that place. Well, now I don't know what those are, but here's what I do know. Those are not naturally occurring. Those are intelligent designs. So my theory is they're part of this defensive encampment that was put there to protect the moon from some kind of a asteroid strike or whatever. Look over to the left, you see a bunch more of those pipes. So And you also look in the background there on the left of that, between the two big structures. Look at this picture right between the two structures that I'm guessing are some kind of animal faces. There's another railgun, sure as the world. You can see the tripod base, another gray gun pointing out towards the edge of the moon. So that just supports my contention that this, what we're looking at, is a defensive position put in place to protect against, my guess would be asteroid strikes. Now, I guess theoretically there could be some kind of a war between two alien races on the moon. And I've heard the rumors that there's mining going on. Well, I don't know for sure on that. Actually, I do kind of know on the mining, but I'm saving that for later. I'll show you some other stuff. But for tonight, I just want to point out that this helps reinforce these are intelligent structures. There's no questioning that. So someone has been on the moon and built stuff. And it's not something we need to be scared of, but we need to accept that we're not alone in the universe. So again, for Matt, keep watching those skies.